I don't want to be very long, but it's obviously a time when I must acknowledge those who have played a very critical role in my life. And who more, or who better, to begin with than my own mother. I was a sick child. I was prone to falling sick. My mother must have spent night after night keeping awake to ensure that I get well. And I still remember a little saying or a shloka, whatever you can call it, that she would say, which I was thinking of over the last few days. I must have heard her innumerable times saying, Aushadhi Janvi Toyam Vaidyo Narayano Hari, which meant that Aushad, medicine, is like the Ganges, and Vaidyo Narayano Hari, the doctor, is in the position of Narayan. I never knew what the meaning of that phrase was. I never did. All that I knew was that it was accompanied by the bitter medicine which went into my mouth. She told me when I was born, I was growing up, that I have named you Dhananjay, but the dhan in your Dhananjay is not material wealth. I want you to acquire knowledge. Like most Maharashtrian women, she was very powerful. Ours was a woman-dominated house. My mother dominated everything at home. And I think women from Oriya are in the same pattern. So my lovely spouse, Kalpana, calls all the shots at home, but never messes around with the judgments. We had a household help when I was young. Her name was Bimai Bhanu Ghamat. She came from rural Maharashtra, coastal Maharashtra. She was engaged because my mother had contracted typhoid, and she was engaged to be with my mother to give a nursing care for her. And when I was born, I was a late-born child, but not fondled. I was disciplined, but not overly disciplined. I was allowed to live my own childhood without really compelling me to live the dream of my parents. They never tried to live their dreams through me. But Bimai Bhanu Ghamat was completely illiterate. In fact, she learned how to write her name when she joined our family, our household. I was so sick, but she really nurtured me. And she taught me so much about life beyond the urban area that I was born into. From her, I realized the truth about our rural households, rural Maharashtra. Most importantly, she made sure that though my father had become a judge just about a year after I was born, that I associated with people, with young friends who belonged to the margins of our society. My best friend always wore 2 pairs of shorts. And the reason why he wore 2 pairs of shorts was not because he had too many, but because he wanted to hide the holes in his shorts. Years later, I read a judgment of the Supreme Court. Actually, it was penned by my father about this person who was sentenced to death. And everybody who gave evidence in that case said that he was such a despicable man. He would wear shorts with many holes. But I remembered that story when I was reading that judgment. In so many which ways it reflected the true character of India, at least when I was growing up. But I learned so much from her, and there's rarely a day of my life when I think both my sister and I don't remember her. I'll say just a few words about my father, who was a mentor, a good friend, a dear friend to me. He taught at the Government Law College, and so many of the great doyens of the bar, Fali Nariman, Soli Sorabji, Anil Diwan, Ashok Desai, all of them were his students. He was very disciplined, but he didn't discipline us as children. He thought that we should learn the ideals of discipline looking at the way he led a disciplined life. 2 things which I'd like to share with you. Otherwise, I can go on forever about a parent, as all of us can. He bought this small house in a small flat in Pune. And I asked him, why on earth are you buying a flat in Pune? When are you going to go and stay there? He told me one thing. So I know I'm never going to stay there. But he said, I'm not sure how long I will be with you. But do one thing. Keep this flat until the last day of your tenure as a judge. And I said, why is that? So he says, if you feel that your moral integrity or your intellectual integrity is ever compromised, I want you to know that you have a roof over your head. Never allow yourself to be compromised either as a lawyer or as a judge because you have no place of your own.